The Breaking Through 3030 show is sponsored by Affinitive LLC. Values and investment advice together at last. Visit us on the web at affinitive.com.
My Breaking Through team. We are really excited to hear your question. We're just going to hop right in and jump in, introduce yourself for like a couple minutes, share your question, and then we're going to go in order and each ask you 2 questions, and then you'll have a chance to respond individually. Then I'll put you in the waiting room and we'll do a little breakout session and come back with a 30-day plan.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. My name is Ali Madrid, and I am a self-employed single mama, homeschooling, living in a trailer, doing the dream. And my business has been up and running for 4 years successfully in Humboldt County. And I just acquired a space that is taking off as like a wellness unity cooperative. So lots of different kinds of workshops happening there, from self-care to youth empowerment programs. And it's a pretty wide range of things that I'm going to be doing in this space. And so I guess where I'm stuck and where I'm looking for guidance is in so many areas. So I'm going to try and keep it as concise as possible. But I'm wondering how to create this space for everyone to be able to use and to do these programs that I am envisioning in a way that doesn't take resources away from my income and my business that just became successful. So the specific things that I'm interested in, if I'm going to be working with youth, and I'll give a little background on the youth empowerment program, is basically giving youth who have been underserved or underprivileged access to understanding and getting to know themselves at a deeper level by taking some assessments and kind of looking at their human design to see what their strengths are and how they function naturally, to help them empower themselves to find their purpose and their passion, to put that out into the world, and specifically for kids who are struggling or just don't have a great place to resources to find those things from. So if I'm gonna, and then the other part of it is the healing part of it, all kinds of amazing healing workshops. And so I'm trying to figure out how to structure this so that I am covered when it comes to youth being there as well as everyone else. Specifically, do I become a nonprofit? Do I not? Do I do sponsorships? How do I navigate this insurance thing? It is so intense. Do I need to become an LLC or a completely separate entity? So it's all those things, because I don't want to pull from my business resources. How to create this new venture in the same space is getting tricky. So that's where I'm at.
Great. Thank you, Ali. Richard, do you want to start with you?
Yeah, sounds like you've got a lot on your plate right now. You've already got a business that's presumably chewing up some time, and you're starting this new venture as well. Can I get a bit more detail on what your existing business is?
Sure, yeah. So I do massage, body work, all different kinds of body work. Specialty is pre and postnatal services, and body sculpting. And then I do a lot of energy work when it comes to that stuff too.
Okay. So for this space, have you already signed a lease on a space, or are you looking? Okay, all right. Have you figured out what the total outgoings are likely to be from that? So it's not just the cost of the lease, it's the power, water, insurance, all of that sort of stuff. So on a monthly basis, roughly what does that add up to?
So for the first year, about $1,100 a month.
Okay, all right. What's the revenue model that you're going to pursue in this space? So how are you going to make money from operating this space?
So I do my work, and that will, I was hoping to only have to pay like half the rent with that. I would like to host these workshops in this space to pay the other half of the rent. And so, I mean, I want to be able to make enough money to cover the basis, because my business supplies me with what I need for my personal things. So I basically just need that extra bit. I just fell into this situation. And so I wasn't planning on it like that. It's all just kind of come together like this, divinely orchestrated or what have you. So
yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully we can help you put some structure around it that'll make it fly and make it sustainable.
Sure. And I should mention the costs don't include my insurance, because I haven't ironed it out, because there's so many different aspects of it and people don't know what to do with me.
Sure. Okay. All right.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Donnie.
Yeah, hi, Ellie. So as I was thinking about what you shared with Richard, one of the things that came to mind is like the overwhelm of all of the swirling pieces. So if you were to prioritize them in order of like 1, 2, 3, what would be the first piece after your own business?
Do you mean like as far as my questions of like priority of which things I need direction on, or priority of like what I'm doing?
Priority of the project. So there's the empowerment program, there's the wellness workshops, and I think you mentioned something else. Would you, in addition to focusing on your business, would you want to focus on the empowerment workshops first, or would you want to work on the healing workshops first, or would you want to work on the other piece first?
I'm working on both right now. Like I can't, it's a toss up. I'm like super excited about both and very passionate, and I can't stop working right now. It's pretty intense. But I'm definitely like, not aggressively, but like moving forward ambitiously on both workshops and the youth empowerment program. The youth empowerment program, I have no idea how I'm going to fund it, or what it, like how there's a lot of training and stuff that's going to come about. So that's not going to happen until the next year, basically like February. So I guess that would take a second. I think it's going to take more work to put into that too. So I guess the wellness workshops that are coming together are probably the next thing I'm working on.
I guess the second piece is, or the second question would be, in terms of market, are you wanting to keep it the Eureka market? Are you wanting to open it up to larger Humboldt County or the Bay Area, and then have people come up to your place for retreats?
Coming up to my place for retreats is like a dream, but not there yet. Just definitely all of Humboldt County. I'm in like the most central area, so I feel like the whole county would be, I mean, they're used to driving to Eureka, so.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Donnie. And now we'll go to Corey.
Hi, Allie.
Hi.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the space, like the size, how you came to have it? What's the layout of the space?
Sure. The layout is so funky. Like just for real, it's just different weird corners here and there. So you walk in and it's about 1,100 square feet. You walk in and there's just enough for me to put 3 display cases. So those are in place right now. And then I have 2 chairs, which is the waiting room space. You know, I have tea set up on the display cases, and, you know, the candles and all the like fun wellness stuff in the display cases. To the right is an empty room right now, which I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing with it yet, but I'm probably going to be hosting workshops in that space. It's a big enough room to host like an intimate workshop for a few people. If there were to be kids happening at the same time, I have like an open space, right? A direct, directly across from the waiting room. Like the waiting room splits these spaces apart. And so to the left is this open, it's almost like a V shape. Like it's so weird looking. And so my daughter is 8. She comes to work with me often. And so I've set up like a little kids corner. And so that's a space where we could do workshops in if it wasn't for kids. And if we had like kid friendly workshops, then parents could be separated while the kids are like in this cool space. And in between that is my treatment room, which is a decent sized room as well. And then I have a small office in the back where like my desk, the sink, and then I have a refrigerator and some storage in there.
And how did you come to have this space?
Funny story. I was planning on doing this with 3 other women who, due to life circumstances, the day of signing the lease, decided not to move forward. And so I had been looking for a space and had been out of work for a while. And so I knew I could expand here. I knew that there was potential here. And I was guided that, you know, there's a lot of shifty energy in Eureka, and that I was meant to be here to like ground some beautiful healing light into this space and this place in Eureka. So I decided to move forward and took a big old fat leap of faith, and here I am.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Corey. And Christy, bringing it home.
I was going to ask about who's helping you, and you said that these people backed out on the day you were signing. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else still there helping you?
Besides a friend doing some artwork for me, and another friend helping me like move furniture, nailing things into walls. No one's there to help do that spirit work. All right, so have you opened yourself up to that? Have you put a call out for that? I'm going to ask more than 2 questions. So I started a GoFundMe, and I need to make an announcement about my soft grand opening, which is in like 3 weeks. And so I made it last week. I was intending to put it out last week, but I just haven't had a chance to sit down and make the announcement to my people. So it is in place. Like the GoFundMe is like published or whatever, it's up there, but I haven't put it out yet.
Okay, awesome. Allie, I'm going to put you in the waiting room now, and we're gonna work on this. And I will text you before I bring you back. So enjoy some coffee, relax, whatever you need to do. And I'll message you in about 15 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, she needs to get some structure around this ASAFP.
yeah, she's got this really big window of all these things that were placed on her heart to do, but not all at once. So she really needs to kind of focus, like pick 2 or 3 and focus on that first, and then let that grow.
So first, I just want to say that kudos to her for not letting her friends backing out derail her, and for accepting the call, and knowing that this is something that she could pull off by herself, and also to her for accepting this help and another set of eyes on this.
Absolutely.
I think that this is totally doable, and some of the fear she may be feeling may be related to the fact that her friends backed out at the last moment, because this is totally doable, right?
This couldn't be more representative of the kinds of things that counties throw grant money at. I mean, like anywhere on earth, counties are literally looking for things exactly like this to give money to.
Mhm.
Because it's got all the feel-good factors in the universe, and it's going to serve and help people. So I think the steps in my mind have to be document something that looks like a realistic plan for this organization, then actually form an organization. Next stop, county money.
What are the demographics in Eureka? Does anybody know? Is that in Humboldt County? Is that an affluent county? Is it not an affluent county?
No, I live here.
And it's not an affluent county?
No, it was a lumber town, and most of those mills have closed. And so there's still, and it's a cannabis industry here. So there's, if you ever watch the show Virgin River, it's loosely based on here. It's not even loosely, it is supposed to be here, except it's not filmed here. So it's, there's, in terms of coming from Sonoma County, moving here, the crime rates are really high. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of need, and a lot of history, which, in its recent history, genocide here, with the indigenous populations in the late 1800s. It's a really, it's a very sacred place. And there's also, people come here to heal for sure, but serving, that's the system that created what they're dealing with here. So thank God there's Ali Madrids in the world.
This even if it's not a good fit for Eureka, I would be amazed if there's not state and federal money available for this. But the first step before doing anything is she's got to have a real plan, and there's got to be some kind of organization formed, which we're probably all thinking non-profit there. Are we?
I'm not so clear on the nonprofit piece. I think that she needs to do a hybrid personally, where a portion of what she does is nonprofit and the other portion is for-profit, and perhaps her for-profit rents space to the nonprofit or something like that. So she's got a lot of options there. The other thing is that if she's having people in this building, it sounds like she's already doing body work in the building. She needs to have some insurance immediately, like ASAP.
Yes.
And she can't wait. If she does set up part of it as a nonprofit, which is my recommendation, she can't wait for that to go through and be approved by the state. She needs to get some insurance ASAP. And it sounds like she's saying she's talked to some insurance people and they don't quite know what to do with her, probably because she's talking to them about all the things she wants to do in the future. If she just gets insurance for what she's doing now, right? And then if something changes in 90 days, she can change the insurance policy. She can add some things to it, but she needs insurance right now, especially before she brings any children into the building.
Yeah, I was going to say, before someone starts running a full contact yoga class in there or something.
Yeah. And the other thing is that if something happens with her insurance, it could affect her massage license, right? And that yes. Right now is her existing livelihood. So if she gets in trouble there, it could cost her that livelihood. The nonprofit, depending on how she wants to structure this thing, I think it should be a hybrid nonprofit and a for-profit. And I think her for-profit should rent space or sublet to the nonprofit. And there's moving parts there, so she'd have to talk to somebody about that. I got the impression when she said that she had the other people that were going to do it with her, that she's open to other people leading workshops. If she's open to having other people lead workshops, then she'd have to figure out what is that relationship, right? Is she just renting space to other people who want to come in and run their own workshops unrelated to her business? Or is she going to create sort of a curriculum and allow other people to teach her stuff, or is she going to license it to other people? These are things that she needs to figure out.
She has other people coming in and leading their own workshops. So just renting the space to do their workshops at this moment.
And then she definitely needs to have insurance, not to
Yeah.
beat that horse, right?
Yeah.
And she should require them to have insurance as well as the leaders of their little communities. So if that's the case, it sounds like she's got a couple of really cute, creative spaces where different people could work. In terms of scheduling spaces like that, there are a lot of models and software that can set schedule sort of conference centers and recreational centers, and the rooms, for example, in health clubs where you've got different people teaching different courses in different rooms at different times. There's software for that that's well established.
What
Those
I
are the
really
things that
want to
jumped
come
out
up
at
with
me.
for her is like whatever the simplest kind of plan and structure is that will get the job done for her for now.
Yeah.
Because I think as soon as she has a structure and a plan in place, this becomes a lot less overwhelming. Yeah, it's so overwhelming because it's just this giant amorphous, ill-defined thing. But as soon as everything's kind of locked in place, it will all become a lot more manageable for her. So Corey, I mean, you mentioned a hybrid model. If she was, my inclination is that she should start a non-profit right away and do most of everything through that at this stage, just because that will make her eligible for lots of discounts on things. It'll also make her eligible for lots more grants.
I was going to say she might want to do a little research about what other centers look like, to have almost a model that she can replicate as she begins to grow, because there are so many moving pieces to it. And so that could potentially be she could potentially reach out to the leaders of those organizations to provide some kind of guidance or mentorship as she's thinking about, okay, what should I be thinking about as I'm creating the wellness programs? And now I want to do the youth empowerment program. What's going to be similar to that? What's going to be different? What other pieces do I need to think about as I'm moving into that space? Because I can easily see this being like a 5 to 7 year vision or plan that she laid out and beyond. And so like right now I see her trying to carry the whole thing and hurting her back trying to hold up all the pieces. And it's like, okay, let's just take this.
So just curious, Donnie, what are the choices for where it can live in her body, and what's the significance of living one place versus another for me and our viewing audience?
Yeah. So when I think about people who are very much in their head, one of the things that ends up happening is it's not grounded in anything. And I find that when they can identify, oh, it lives in my solar plexus, so there's like some power to it, then it gives them a physical sensation to associate it with, to help them get out of the overwhelm. Otherwise, they just continue living in their head and swirling around the ideas. And when they go to talk about it, or when they go to take action on it, they go over to the left, and then they go over to the right, and then they go back over into the middle left. And so it feels very sporadic and chaotic versus saying, you know what, I can't take on this whole thing. I'm just going to focus on this little piece. But it's a weird association, but people get it sometimes when they're able to actually feel it. Like, oh, yeah, I feel this. Some people might say, I feel a lot of tension in my back, or it feels heavy to me. It's like, yeah, you're carrying all of these pieces. So you need to let some of those down.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
I really like what you said, Donnie, about this being like a 5 to 7 year plan. Like, you know, there's got to be something now, and then it's got to have a chance to evolve over time. So what's the, I mean, what's the low hanging fruit here that we can give to Ali to get her some peace of mind and some structure today?
The pieces that I was thinking about is definitely the insurance,
Yeah.
but then figuring out how many clients does she have right now for her massage and body work, and how many does she want or need to have that continue to be sustainable. And then it sounds like she already has some of the wellness workshops in mind or beginning to form. So I think just having one or two of those just to test it out to see, okay, what about this work? To where do we need to fine tune? And maybe she helps the leader systematize their process so that each of the wellness workshops goes through the same process, even though they might be sharing different content.
Kind of like finding her formula.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a huge vision. It's a mountain here, and she's just trying to get all this goodness anchored in down here. She does really need to just focus on a few of the programs. Kate, you're in the area, so I have a question. The youth in that area, is this something vital for them to do? Do they have anything else to do? Like, can they go do this, or do they go out and get in trouble?
Well, she's doing this on an area, like the location is in an area where there's lots of trouble to get into. Should people be looking for trouble? The trouble will find them.
Okay.
And this is a coastal town, and so it's right on the ocean. It's foggy most of the year, limited sunshine. Just to give you like a picture, you walk out of the space and there's like an open parking lot and then some warehouses, industrial. And then beyond that, there is ocean, within a few blocks.
I think that she's kind of a little overwhelmed by the greatness of this vision and what it can become. So once again, I say limit it down to those few most important pieces right now. Something tells me to push more for the youth programs, and reach out. I think there will be more people willing to come help and take some of that load off, some of that decision making. Perhaps she can partner with someone on that. So
okay, can we shift to mindsets?
Can I say one thing before we jump into that? I have a slightly different take from Richard's. I think that she should start the LLC immediately. I think that's something that she can do online, generally in about 5 to 10 minutes. She needs to shift that lease, if she can, into the name of the LLC. Unfortunately, for new businesses, oftentimes they want a personal guarantee anyway. If the lease is in her name, she may not be able to get it out. And even if she could, they might still want a personal guarantee. But I think she should get the LLC immediately, get the insurance immediately, and then start the process of creating her nonprofit. But before she does any of that, she needs to figure out what pieces are good for the nonprofit and what pieces are good for the LLC and which pieces are good for her personally. Then I think that she should do, and I think Donnie said it, this is a 5 or 7 year process. I think to get it, primo perfecto, yes, but I think she could run betas for all of these programs in the next 6 months, right? She could run a beta wellness program. She could run the beta youth empowerment program, as Donnie said, and just sort of get a benchmark, right? Like where are we starting? What's working? Because I don't think she'll be satisfied putting these things off for a long time. Right. I think she needs to jump into a beta model of the wellness now. And I think she needs to very shortly thereafter jump into a beta of the youth empowerment program. I think that will be the only way to satisfy her need to be doing and serving in all these different ways. She may decide she doesn't like working with the kids. She may decide the wellness programs are, she also could do a semester model where in the fall she's doing wellness, in the winter she's doing youth, in the spring she's doing body work, but I say start with a beta immediately.
Just walk me through quickly, like what's the advantage of having the LLC and the nonprofit? I don't follow the thinking there.
So, for example, for the component where she does her body work and her massage and all that kind of stuff may not be right for a nonprofit. The other thing is that you sacrifice a lot when you create when you create a nonprofit, right? Because a nonprofit doesn't belong to you; it belongs to the people, it belongs to the state, right? So there's a lot of things that you can't do. Also, considering she already is personally engaged in this, meaning that she already has a lease in her own name. She needs to protect herself right away, and to start a nonprofit could potentially take weeks, if not months, right? Whereas an LLC, she can
Yeah,
create,
it's not an immediate process. No.
yeah, she can create that in 5 minutes and have personal liability protection immediately.
So real quick, because we have to wrap, and mindsets.
Maybe you'll appreciate this one. She needs to put hashtag show up because she's already doing it. Like, she's like, I don't know what I'm walking into, but here I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think there's not only is there a lot of courage in that, but the commitment in that, and just the willingness to go and figure it out in the process. That's a hard thing to do. So just continue.
I would really want to encourage her to, I mean, it's really beautiful how she's thinking about all this in terms of, you know, the energy that she wants to put out here and the things that she wants to share and create. But for this to really get legs, she's also going to have to get good at visualizing structures and mechanisms and cash flows. You know, think of cash flow as like the blood of this whole thing, and visualizing how things are owned and where the risks are, and all of that sort of stuff.
I was just going to say, I would add to Richard's point that she needs to get to track the details, the money, the numbers, the data. She also needs to create separate bank accounts for herself and the entity itself.
Oh, yeah.
You can get into a lot of trouble for, it's called commingling funds. So she needs to sort of track this thing very meticulously.
It's awesome. Well, we need to bring her back in. And what I'd like to do again is, because we didn't get quite to that on this page, but if you could give her some verbal encouragement and affirmation and see her when we bring her back in, I think that will go miles. So just let her know. Welcome back. All right. Well, this is a fabulous list, and you and I can sit later and digest it together. Also, so we're not going to read you the whole list. But Corey, if I could call on you to sort of recap, that would be a gift.
So first of all, Allie, we all love what you're doing. We think that it's so important. And Kate gave us some background about the community where this all exists. And I think that we all see so much promise in this idea. We all love the energy that you're bringing to it and how you're just going for it, right? So kudos to you for that, because a lot of people, if their friends had backed out, they also would have backed out, right? So just to get to the sort of the thing that I think we all see as important kind of right away is that if you currently have people in the building, your bodywork people, and Kate said you're renting space to other people, you need to get insurance ASAP, right? Even if it's basic insurance, you need something in place. One of the reasons you may be getting kind of weirdness from agents, you may be sharing too much of the vision with the people, right? So they don't know what to do with the vision. Get insurance for what you are absolutely doing right now. So there was some discussion about whether or not you should set up a nonprofit by itself or a hybrid where part of it is run by an LLC and part of it is run by a nonprofit. You can look into a hybrid model where a portion of what you do is one, a portion is the other. Maybe the LLC rents space to the nonprofit or vice versa. There's a lot of things that you can do there. We also like the idea of a nonprofit because it opens you up to grant money and the community that you're trying to serve may not be able to pay the kinds of fees that you could live off of and expand your program off of. A nonprofit will allow you to do that, but the LLC will give you immediate protection right now. Like you can do that today. What else did we talk about? Donnie talked about getting clear on where in your body you are feeling this, or I don't want to say the wrong thing. This is Donnie's area of expertise, but he says that it will help you know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Donnie, why don't you chime in on that? Because I think he'll be talking your language, Allie.
Yeah. So one of the things that I share with the group is rather than having the vision and everything swirl around in your head, like identifying where does it live in your body, or where do the different components of it live in your body to help drop it down into a more grounded state, because you yourself are just completely solid, but I feel like the pieces are swirling through. And I think if you can help bring those two together, it'll make it a lot easier for you to prioritize. Okay, I need to focus on this first, and then I can go to that, versus, okay, I need to go over here, and now I'm over here, and now I'm back over here.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, so another thing that we talked about is there's two paths that you could take, and there's pros and cons to both, right? The first path is sort of start one of your I think we counted 4 different ventures. Start one of your ventures, get it up and running, and then start the next one, right? And sort of put the one you're not working on, sort of put it on the burner, put it on the back burner, so you can just focus on the one. And there's pros and cons to that. Another version would be to sort of do a beta of each, sort of a 1.0 offering in each, like a 1.0 of your wellness program, see what you get, see what needs to work, and do a 1.0 of your youth empowerment, and do a 1.0, right? So you can sort of see how you feel about each of them actually in delivery, and then decide from there. And there's pros and cons to both. You can listen to the tape. One of the, you guys, am I forgetting things? One of the other things that we thought about is the overwhelm you might be feeling is because you are functioning in so many roles in this thing, right? You're being a body worker, you're being a landlord, you're being the visionary, you're being the workshop leader, you're being the activities director, you're probably being the janitor of the building as well, right? You're doing all these different things. So compartmentalize them and figure out which roles are most important at which times, and put the other ones down for a little while. You guys help me out. What else am I forgetting? We talked about so much.
Yeah, I think the biggest one was more about you as a person, and just how much you constantly shown up regardless of what has happened. Like that one, opening a business takes a lot of courage, and now opening up a center takes a lot of courage, and then doing it on top of people who said they were going to do it with you, that takes a lot of courage and commitment too. So you already have that just like in your corner, and that's not something that you can teach. It's really just something that you have to walk through every day. So we really just wanted to applaud you for not only the amount of work you're doing, but also just the commitment that you're doing it with, and the faith and trust that you're walking in as you bring this vision to life.
Oh, thank you. It's awesome to hear. Thank you so much.
I would add to that also, Allie, that in part because your space is so quirky, and I get the feeling that you may be a little bit quirky as well, you really are free to do this however you want to, right? There are no right answers. There's no structure that you have to fit yourself into. And the only wrong answer is remaining uninsured, right? Everything else, everything else, there are no wrong answers, right? Try it and see what happens. Try it and see what happens. Yeah.
You know, really start to think in a structured way about how all this works. Draw diagrams for yourself that represent how each bit of it works. Write down how each bit of it works. Look at how those words look. Do they make sense to you? Do other ideas jump out at you from what you've written down? But like right now, you're carrying all this stuff up in your head, and there's so many uncertainties right now. A lot of that starts to go away, and a lot of it starts to get a lot easier once you've documented it and it's all written out and it all makes sense, and you can speak with authority about every single little bit of it. That will make your life a lot easier, and that's something that you can start doing today.
Awesome. And Christy, want to bring us home?
So I understand that this space you're creating is much bigger than the physical space that it takes up. And I also understand, kind of get the feel that unconventional seems to be your thing a bit. Cutting little corners to make it all fit in a puzzle. So maybe that's your thing. Stop trying to be conventional and let your unconventional come forward. That's what's going to carry you far and carry this place. That's what's going to make it unique. And that's what's going to touch all those other souls that what's in play now hasn't. Yeah. So this is a great work. You can do it.
It's wonderful. All right. Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Alex.